Florida cyclists, how many times have we heard someone yell, "Get out of the road," while we're riding? Time and time again, people ask me why cyclists are in the road and if we're allowed to ride there. So today, let's break down what exactly Florida law says about where bicycles belong. The Florida law is simple. Cyclists have the same rights and duties as motorists. If there's a designated marked bike lane and you're riding slower than traffic, you're required to use it according to the law. But what happens when there's no bike lane? Well, you're allowed to ride in the roadway, defined as the part of the highway designed for vehicle traffic, not the shoulder or the berm. That means anything to the right of the fog line, that solid white line, is not legally the roadway. You're not required to ride there. Now, the law says you must ride as close as practicable to the right-hand curb or edge. But practicable doesn't mean hugging the gutter at all costs. It means what can reasonably and safely be done. If you're riding too far right and it exposes you to tree branches, car doors swinging open, debris, or surface hazards, that's not practicable. You're allowed to move left to protect yourself. And there are also specific situations where the law allows cyclists to move toward the center or even fully take the lane. For example, when passing another vehicle, when preparing to make a left-hand turn, when avoiding obstacles, animals, or hazards, and when the lane is too narrow to share with a car. Florida defines that as substandard width lane. Now here's the math. Cyclists need about 3.5 feet, cars are about 6 to 8 feet wide, and the law gives drivers, or requires drivers, to give at least 3 feet when passing. So that means the lane has to be about 14 feet wide to fit both cyclist and driver side by side. If it's narrower, you're legally entitled to take the full lane. And realistically, most roads in Florida have substandard width lane under this definition, which are usually around 10 to 12 feet wide. Now let me give you a real world example. A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea has a wide shoulder but no marked bike lane. Now, drivers often assume that shoulder is a bike lane and demand cyclists stay out of the road. But legally, it's not a bike lane. There's no designations, and it's just not wide enough under the law. And the travel lane itself is substandard width, meaning too narrow for side-by-side safe travel. That's why many cyclists choose to take the lane. Not to be a nuisance or slow traffic, but because it prevents dangerous, too close passes that can lead to crashes, injuries, or worse. So here's the takeaway. Florida law allows cyclists to ride in the roadway, and in many cases, even requires taking the lane for safety. Drivers may be delayed a few seconds, maybe a couple minutes at most. But cyclists, the decision to ride in a lane can be the difference between getting home safely or not getting home at all. I'm George Palaidis, a Florida personal injury attorney and cycling advocate. Ride safe, know your rights, and remember, you belong on Florida's roads. Now get out and bike FLA.